thank you so much for joining me. All of you guys look fabulous here. It's the International Women's Day lunch. It's put on here by the network. My lovely panel here, what I'm going to do is get them to introduce themselves for me and just tell us what it is you guys do, what brings you here, and hopefully why you're so excited to be part of today.
Good morning to everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. I flew from Barcelona to be here. And yes, I'm Italian, though I live in Barcelona, and I lived almost 25 years in Asia, between a couple of years in Indonesia first, and then in Singapore. So in a very multicultural society. I probably am the oldest one in the room.
The most experienced.
And I'm very happy to be that. I'm here to share my experience of change while I was in Asia, being an Italian, living there, and having to adapt myself to many differences in culture, in lifestyle. I'm a life coach today, and I've got a background in psychology, and I'm a trainer in communication skills. So I teach people and I teach women to speak out.
That's why we need you here.
Yes. And I do that because I was the first one not able to speak out for many years. So my life changed in Asia at the age of 37. I'm 55 now. I started a journey of self-transformation, and today my passion is really to empower women to find their own voice. I come from sexual abuse in childhood, and I come from sexual harassment in adulthood many years ago, when people didn't dare to talk about that. So I'm so thrilled and happy to see that time has changed, and we are really time up now. You know, we are really at the time where culture can really get shit. I don't think we need 200 years.
No.
I think that if we all can team up together, and if we all can speak out and get out of the fear of the taboo or whatever it is, then change will come very, very soon. I'm a mom as well, and my daughter is there. She's 25. And she lives in London. That's why I came here. It was not only on the purpose. So I'm very happy also, like her, thank you for sharing, to share my experience as a mom, as an ex-wife, because I'm divorced now. I came back from Asia 3 years ago, and I went to live by myself, so rebuilding my life after 26 years of marriage in Barcelona alone, and I'm so proud to say that. Your voice, anybody that wants to come up. Thank you.
Elisabetta, I want you to kind of contribute as well to this, because you've kind of had your own personal progression kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, and I feel like maybe you could summarize it for me, or you can help explain what it is that kind of has helped you get from that place where you were to where you are today. I know it's a big one. I'm just giving these to you. Yeah.
No, let me just take a brief breath because it's good to breathe.
Yes.
Let's breathe. I will not go in details of what happened in my childhood, and I listened to you very well. What she said is absolutely great. We are conditioned as children, and today I promote getting to know yourself and getting to know your roots, where you come from, what was there, what happened there that made you who you are at 20, at 25, at 30. I didn't have a voice. I allowed things to happen and to take over because I didn't have examples. My mom and dad were not bad people. They didn't have examples themselves. So I love deeply them, but I had to go first to a space where I had to accuse them for what they did or they didn't, like protecting me, and then forgiving them. And my forgiveness is full today. I think it comes out from my entire being. Then I met a husband, a future husband that was much older than me, and of course he was a macho man who came already from another marriage with kids. It's a long story, but at 29, with a girl of 1, I left and I went to Asia. And I don't know if anybody traveled to Asia, I hope so, but Asia is a very different place to live. And normally there were men going on career with wives like me who left everything, family, friends, everything, to follow them. And in Jakarta or in Singapore or anywhere there, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, whatever, men at that time could work, but women following that, no permission. So I arrived in Singapore in '95, and I couldn't have a job. So eventually I decided to invest time to get to know myself. Instead of getting depressed for another 2 years, because in Jakarta I was depressed for 2 years. And I took my life in my hand, and I started to understand what happened in my childhood that made me this submissive wife, submissive teenager who allowed men to take advantage of her. And my life transformed, and my life progressed. So progress come if you start taking your life in your hands. And how? By getting to know yourself from the roots. Roots are very important. See, we don't live from here up there. We live also from here up down. If you know your roots, if you know where you come from, you start blaming the past, because past is past. And you start moving into the future but living your present. So my life transformed, and eventually in 2008 I decided also to publish a book with my story. My story that really is put myself on the table. I was very fearful of judgment, of course, but it resulted to be my healing process, and I suggest women to write their stories as well today. I wrote for that reason, to denounce what happened to me, but also to invite and inspire other people to write their story. It's so healing for yourself. It doesn't matter if you publish it or not. It's healing for you. And mine went out in Southeast Asia, and it got a lot of attention also from the media, I have to say, and inspired other women, Asian women, who are more submissive than what we are ourselves. So little by little I saw in Asia progress coming, because now women can come there with their husband and can work. Finally, they have the right to work, even if they're married to a married career. They cannot be only just the mom who goes around taking coffee or sipping a glass of wine with other friends. And so I saw really the change. So also in Asia, I'm bringing the voice also of Asia here. I'm very happy to do that. Because in Asia also things are changing. Women are getting empowered, women are even, not only expat women, but also Asian women are getting the voice. In a way, I have to say, we are a bit going also on the other side of the pendulum. That means that women are becoming too strong. And so there is this kind of imbalance now that I notice. But I think also as a coach myself that sometimes to change we have to go to the other side in order eventually to come back here and understand, yes, and settle. So this is what I can contribute with my story.
I can see why you're a life coach. I'm going to have to look into sessions. Jeez.
Well, we're kind of on the topic about talking about how women should kind of like approach these kind of subjects about like pay rises and stuff. Would you guys have any tips or anything that how you would prepare, and how you think that we could also prepare ourselves for those kind of conversations and what to think about and like how to approach it?
Well, first of all, I think and it's been already said that it has to be clear that we are women and we deserve. It's not because we are women and we don't deserve and men deserve. But many of us believe that they deserve, but they believe it here. They don't believe it here. He has to sink down. So I have clients, and I've got my daughter, and I've got friends who say, well, I've got high self-esteem, I've got confidence, and then when I see results, when they have to go and ask for a pay rise, it doesn't happen. So it means that something is not clicking. There is no congruency with what they feel they are, deserving people, and what they really are able to do. So I really believe, because my background is psychology, so we have to go back to the subconscious, unconscious. So it's not only what we say and we go out and boast about, is that what is really inside of me. I mean, my experience was that when I started to search inside myself, I realized that there was really lack of self-esteem. And I had really to start from scratch to build it up. But I didn't know it here. In here, I felt that, I knew it all. And actually, I was perceived as a very energetic woman. You got your courage to go to Asia with your child. All my friends were envying me. And nobody knew how miserable I was really inside. So I think one tip that I can say, I can give is find the courage within you to really discover if what you chat inside, what you say inside, I have, you know, I warfare, I'm this, I'm that, I do love myself. Ask really yourself, is it really true? Is really happening through my results and my action? So find that courage. This is my tip.
And Jessica, you've got a tip for us. Like, I think it'd be a shame if we didn't touch on our last kind of theme for this lunch. Like, sexual harassment is obviously not just confined to Hollywood, and with like the Time's Up movement and all of that stuff. I mean, I feel like I don't even want to kind of set a question. I think I more just want to see what people's thoughts are regarding sexual harassment. I feel like, Elisabetta, you're going to have something to say. And now I'm going to...
I bring up this because last night, it was interesting because I booked my flight last week. And then when I was confirmed here, I know that the Frontline Club is organizing talks, and I always wanted to go and see for the first one. And last night there was one, and guess on what? Sexual harassment in the media. So this is something that I picked up there, is a research, and the title is Violence and Harassment Against Women in the News Media, a Global Picture. And last night in bed until late, I was not reading all, but in interesting numbers. So I totally agree with you. Sexual harassment is not only for Hollywood or people that live at that level. Sexual harassment is happening everywhere at any level. And I think, yes, I have a voice to talk because, interesting enough, in 2009, National University of Singapore, after I came out with the book, asked me to produce, to design a training for men and women, because also men can be harassed, by the way. They are a minority. But in a campus where there were a lot of stuff that needed to be informed and trained on what is sexual harassment, especially in a society where there are many cultures. So you have Indian, Pakistani, Italian, British, Chinese, or whatever. Because what sexual harassment is for an Italian, it might be different from a Pakistani, for example. If an Italian man comes to you and say, "Hi, how are you?" and does like that, for me, it's nothing that really bothers, because it's normal for an Italian man to do that. If there is something much deeper, then I can feel it. But normally, this is our body language. But for a Pakistani woman, having a man, a teacher at a university, going there and doing something like that, that could be totally, put you off. So very important that we educate. And last night the talk was all about how much women in the media, especially women that are not working full time, they're part time, they are internship and they have to work, freelancer. They have to work on a story, and the editor is coming up saying, well, if you do this, then I give you the story. Otherwise, there are many other that I can give the story to. So yeah, we are talking about where is the root of sexual harassment, and how come that sexual harassment has been going on for many years. I mean, it happened to me when I was very young, 30 years ago, and it's still happening now. And finally, we find a voice. But what can be done? I think I'm very much focused on, solutions. So training, getting education, as you said. We can start already from school. Nothing really starting in school. I really see that in school we still learn a lot about geography, history, mathematics, but what about life skills? And teaching women, and teaching men, because here we are, sorry, there are also a couple of men, I think, but we have many women. We have also to teach men what is respect, because men sometimes don't respect us also because they don't even know what is respect. So there is a lot to do and to say on sexual harassment, and to build up in terms of education, in terms of training. Companies need to invest in that. I mean, if they did in Asia 10 years ago most, and for 5 years I ran workshop on sexual harassment there on the campus. And there were many things that they didn't know. For example, that in order to have sexual harassment, you have to have an aggressor and you have to have a victim, correct? But the victim can have a voice. The victim can remain a victim, but can also decide, well, I don't stay a victim. And so I go and denounce it to the human resource, for example. Last night we were talking about how human resources are not skilled skilled. They do not have any skill to face this topic, and they have to make arrangement. They cannot talk much. There is really a lot. We could have another panel only on that.
I think we need to book out a week or something because yeah.
And if you have a question, feel free to ask.
Going back to the point of like including men in conversation, I think it's really important because I think they can get quite defensive if they feel like we're like talking behind their back. So I know someone who works in a really male-dominated industry, and he's got a couple of girls in his office. He did a bit of work and wanted to present it, and the girl who didn't work on the project chose to present it instead of him because his company wanted to be seen as diverse. It obviously wasn't truly representing the company. They just thought, right, we'll just roll the woman out to present his work and then come back. So he felt a bit scorned, but I think if he was involved in discussions like this, he'd see that what his company doing wasn't wrong, but he should just let her have her moment, and that's how she can work the system by.
It's kind of like positive discrimination.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
There is so not enough time for this. I can be here all day. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts.
Thank you. One of the things, I think, I'm not a mum, so I can't speak to that, but I think all men come from women. You know, no matter how sexually, how someone can be like that, can behave like that, they have all come from a woman, and I'm sure a lot of them have sisters, daughters, aunts, etc., etc. And so that really does confuse me sometimes, where I think, you're doing this, why? You know people who, imagine if someone was doing that to your sister or your daughter, how can you sort of compete with that almost? So I think, I have a brother and I think he's been really well brought up, but I think there's a lot to be said for starting it at 0. You know, having respect for a mum and sisters and aunts and things like that, and just increasing it as they get older.
By the way, but it's the mum who has to have respect from the child as well.
Yeah.
Most of the time today, I mean, I was discussing things about schooling and education. Now in school, I don't know in England, but I read also something about England. Now in school, children don't respect anymore the teachers, parents defend the children. So respect comes from family. And who teach a child respect? The child. Where does the child learn to respect? From the way that the mother makes her respected by the partner and by the people around her. And the same it is for men. The man has to be respected for the woman. I mean, respect has to be reciprocal in a couple. Children, there is an association here on abuse and neglect that has a wonderful advertising on YouTube. Children learn by modeling what they see. So if they see mom screaming to their husband, they learn that, well, it's okay screaming. Or if they see the husband, in Italy we have a lot of, in Spain again, a lot of high level of domestic violence. So if they see that the father can do certain things to the mother and the mother remain a victim, they learn that this is what it can be, and they reproduce that. So again, we go back to education from 0, but the education comes first from the family, the internalized family where you come from.